Hello, my name is Jonathan Garza, and today we're going to be talking about an important pastoral care and ministry topic, and that is the importance of small group ministry in your church body. Now, I want you to think about how in your past, the small groups that have been a part of your life, whether it be an athletic team, a work group, a PTO group, a study group, a Bible study group, think of those groups and the role that they've played in your life. Now I want you to juxtapose that in light of your church group. I want you to think of those two relationships. You see, it's often, when you consider church group or small group, it's usually going to be in the smaller group where you open up more. Because it's in smaller groups of people that we tend to be open, honest, and we actually build real, long-lasting friendships and relationships with those around us. Now, sometimes people come to church and they can come to church with this shield. Now, the shield's there for various reasons, but for better or worse, we come up with a shield. And the shield drops usually only once we know that there are friends around us who genuinely care for us. In the Western church, we measure success differently. Whereas we might look at attendance, or we might look at tithe, or how cool the worship team is. When you look at smaller groups of individuals, smaller groups of people, you measure success very differently. You measure it in faithfulness to Jesus. When I became involved in a small group back in college, I got around a group of people who started acting like God was actually real. Started acting like he was really coming back one day, and started acting like the Holy Spirit was real and active and moving around us and could still heal and speak. That was completely radical to me. God opened up my world in a small group of people, and I saw what they had, and I wanted that too. I wanted to have the faith that they had, the trust that they had. He showed me what I was not handing over to him in that small group of people. Now, each of us has a heavenly assignment, and it's not for the pastor to pastor and for those who come and sit in a pew to attend. It is just not biblical. We find in the second letter of Paul to Timothy, "And what you have heard from me in the presence of many witnesses, entrust to faithful men who will be able to teach others also." That's Paul writing a letter to Timothy, the person that he discipled and spent time with, who is telling him to entrust to faithful men, the group of men around him, the same things that Paul shared, to spread out to the whole world. That is discipleship. And that is discipleship at the small group level. Your average church is built like a pyramid in its leadership structure, with the pastor being at the top, and then you have congregation board members, congregational members, and visitors down at the bottom. But Jesus didn't come and do it that way. You see, he came as the King of Kings, as the servant. He turned the whole thing upside down. Small group-oriented churches follow this upside-down model by allowing discipleship and pastoring to shift and spread to the small group leader. Craig Groeschel has some wisdom for us regarding this. You see, under this model, the pastor primarily pastors the small group leaders, and he feeds and counsels and supports and develops those who feel God calling them to reach out to their workmates, their classmates, their friends. So when the pastor is pastoring that small group leader, something changes. You see, we learn three things in this setup. One, you learn self-awareness. You see, self-awareness is the very first beginning step of growing. It is said that leaders can be the greatest liars. Leadership can push us to face our ego and insecurity abruptly in ways that many of us are not prepared for. See, those in leadership will constantly have the temptation to judge themselves based upon their intentions, all the while judging others based upon their actions. And leadership is the greatest way to allow others into your life and allow others to help you with your blind spots and become more self-aware. They're called blind spots for a reason, after all. Number two, development of leaders hinges on trust. See, real, true, honest-to-goodness trust takes time to build, and it must be earned. But here's what we fail to see sometimes. Mistrust is earned just the same way as trust. This is what cuts off our churches at the knees, and in small group, it's magnified. At the end of the day, this is a good thing though, because it means that real trust, true trust, is growing in your groups of disciples and in your church body as a whole. 3. People grow best when they are in the game. God gives people a vision by showing them the landscape in front of them, giving them a glimpse of what he's thinking and what he's intending. See, small group gives a glimpse of the vision of God's heart for us in a way that very few things can. Small group enables people to take on the heart of God, much like a pastoral calling in its purest form. It brings maturity and the weight of responsibility and gives us the dignity of a work to do with God. Let's empower small groups, meeting and discipling in our church bodies. Thank you.